January, that's when a lot of bad movies come out. It's usually the worst time to go to the theater. You know, occasionally something good pops up, but for the most part, bad things. Anyway, I saw The Grudge. It just came out. The Grudge is, of course, an American remake of Ju-on the Grudge, which is technically the third, I believe, in the Ju-on series. But in reality, I believe it's the fifth, because there were 2 short films, and then there were 2 Ju-on the Curse films, and then Ju-on the Grudge, which was followed by Ju-on the Grudge 2, and then it gets all convoluted because there's like 9 Ju-on films. And then there's the American one, which is made by the same director. I believe his name is Takashi Shimizu. If I got that wrong, whoops. And he made the American remakes, and he made the originals, and the American remakes are terrible. I just watched them today for the first time, as well as watching the first 2 Ju-on the Grudge films today for the first time. Quick review of those. The Ju-on the Grudge films were okay. I wasn't a huge fan of them. There's the storyline's fun because it's non-linear. There's a bunch of cool stuff happening, but they don't spend enough time with any of the characters. You don't care about any of them. And there's not very many, like, scares or even, like, fun deaths or anything like that. It's just, I hate to say boring, but not wildly entertaining might be a better way to describe it. Ju-on the Grudge 2 is much more entertaining. There's a lot of fun deaths. There's a lot of cool scenes. There's one with a wig. That's pretty funky. While in the first one, the only real scene that I loved was the third sequence with, I think, her name's Hitomi. That one was great. The American remake destroyed it. It was awful. But in the second one, there's a lot of fun scenes. The opening is god-awful, though. And the ending, like 20 minutes, is really cool. And then the last 10 minutes is also pretty good. But before that, the storytelling's all sorts of out of whack. I hate it. God. And the acting's also much worse than in the first one. In the first one, it's not, like, amazing, but it's solid enough to help to elevate some of the performances, some of the film around it. Second one, nope. But they're about the same. I didn't like them, but I didn't hate them, and I didn't dislike them. They were just kind of a movie. Then I watched the American remakes, like I said. Terrible. Don't watch them. Sarah Michelle Gellar, she tries her hardest, but that script is bad. It's just a worse version in, like, every way to the original Japanese counterparts. And it feels like a lot of it is hollow, missing its core, which is interesting because it's the same director, as I said. So, yeah, just don't watch those. Anyway, The Grudge 2020. It's directed by a guy named Nicholas, I want to say his name's Pesce. It's Pesce. I don't know how you pronounce that. Anyway, he did a movie called, I believe it's called The Eyes of My Mother, as well as Piercing, which have both gotten decent reviews and decent reception. I've heard really good things about The Eyes of My Mother, as well as really bad things about The Eyes of My Mother. It's, a pretty divisive film, which is something I love. I love those kind of films. I do not suspect to hear very divisive things about this one. I'm pretty sure most people will think this is a bad movie because, spoiler alert, it's a bad movie. We'll dive into it why soon, but there are a couple good things I will talk about first, because it's always good to, start with the good things. John Cho's in the movie. You might know him from, like, Harold and Kumar. He was a big comedy actor for a while, but he's been in stuff like Columbus and Searching from, I guess, 2 years ago now. Searching is amazing. If you have not seen it, go watch Searching. It's by a director named Anish Chaganty, I believe is how you pronounce it. That's probably wrong, but he's doing a new movie this year. It's going to be really good. I can guarantee it because he seems like a very good director. If it's not good, I'm going to cry. But John Cho has proven himself to be a great dramatic actor, and he elevates every single scene he's in, like, substantially in this movie. The dialogue in this movie is not good. There's a lot of moments I audibly laughed aloud when it was supposed to be, like, either scary or, like, somber, and it was just laughable. But John Cho, he provides a performance that's, like, actually really good, and if he was, like, the main central character for the whole film, I might have ended up liking it, but he's not. He's like a secondary character, I guess. The way the film works is it's non-linear like all of the other films. So it's jumping back and forth between timelines and such. And he's one of the characters in one of the like sequences, and you see him in like two major scenes, like two major parts. And those parts are pretty good. Well, they're decent because he's there. He's rocking it. Another person that I enjoyed his performance from was a guy named Damien Bashir, I believe is how you pronounce that one. Probably wrong. I haven't seen a whole lot of things he was in, but he was pretty solid as well in this. There's one scene near the end where he's like, just get over it. It's not our case anymore. And it's delivered really badly. But besides that, I enjoyed pretty much all of the other lines and deliveries. Those are the two that really stood out to me. Most of the other performances are fine. I wouldn't say that the acting in this movie is like bad or anything, but it's nothing that, besides those two examples, it's nothing to like write home about, and it does not help the movie. Good acting can, make bad dialogue better, just like good dialogue can make bad acting better. But when it's just like fine acting, it's not going to make the dialogue any better, and the dialogue is really bad. Lynn Shay is in this movie as well. She's pretty decent, but she's just playing the same character she always plays, which is old woman who lives in a haunted house or is going to a haunted house, like an Insidious, or I think she's in the Ouija movie or one of them. She's just the old white woman who either knows about the supernatural or is being part of the supernatural. It's just the same. So it just reminded me of an Insidious movie. Let's see. Anything else I liked? They did something I was not expecting, and they made it pretty much tie into the original Ju-On, the Grudge film, without really changing anything, because it introduces the character that brings the curse to America. And she was working at the original cursed house right before the events of the first Ju-On film. Sorry, Ju-On the Grudge. So at least they kind of left it alone. They didn't even really remake it. You could just say it's a companion piece, which is fine. Better than a remake, I guess. So those are good things. Oh, the cinematography's fine for the most part. It's nothing amazing, but there are no shots like I hated, and most of it is lit well. There's a couple good natural lighting effects occasionally, but there's one area that usually gets like the best scenes. It's in the main house that everything is going on. There's a stained glass window, and it's like the sun hits it, and it's beautiful. So there's a couple good scenes that are against that, or like John Cho's like running by it at one point, and that scene's like my favorite. I think he's just walking up the stairs towards it, and I'm like, that's a pretty shot. So more of that, please. Okay, I think that's all I liked. Some dislikes. There are a lot of let's talk about jump scares. Jump scares, I don't want to use the term plague on horror movies, but they're overutilized, I would say. I think that a good jump scare can enhance a movie like tenfold. But the problem is, if you want to have a lot of jump scares, you need to have a lot of atmosphere. You need to be building up these things. In a lot of horror movies, they don't do that. They just kind of have you sitting there bored, and they keep you interested by throwing in jump scares to pretend that you're actually scared instead of just startled, which is a shitty thing to do. Make an interesting movie, please. That is what I would like. I would like to watch a movie I enjoy. Instead, I sit there bored and go, Jesus Christ, every couple minutes. But there's no atmosphere, so it doesn't have a larger effect. I want it to last. I want a jump scare to make me shit my pants and remember that I shit my pants 10 years down the road. And I'm going to forget all about these jump scares in like 20 minutes. Two of them did get me, but I don't really think that being startled makes a movie good. The other way that a jump scare can work is, if you want a lot, like I said, you need a lot of atmosphere. But if you don't want to do that, I don't mind a jump scare just out of the blue, but it has to be used really conservatively, like twice in a movie. Because that can immediately put you, into a tense situation. If you want to, just jump into a fucking tense-ass situation, you want the audience to be on the edge of their seat, I don't think that it's bad to just, throw in a jump scare if it's for the purpose of making the next scene scarier. But a lot of people will just go, jump scare, and then the next scene's fine. It's just I'm going to the bank now. That's it. Instead, jump scare, and then they're still in danger. But most jump scares are jump scare, no more danger until the next jump scare. So that's London's lessons in jump scares from a man that does not know anything about film and just likes to talk about them. Woo! So yeah, jump scares are bad. The storytelling, it's the same problem I have with pretty much all the Grudge films. There's too many characters for such a short film. I didn't care about any of these characters except maybe John Cho's character, but I was gonna say I don't remember his name, but it's Peter Spencer, and I only know that because at one point he opens a door and goes, "It's Peter Spencer," and he says it 9 times. So that's the only character I think I remember. I remember some of the main plot device family's last name, but that's the only name I remember. Side note, driving home, there was a woman sitting on her porch in a black cloak, just staring at my car as I was passing by. That was scarier than the movie, because it was pitch black outside, and I'm just am I gonna get murdered? Is the Grudge following me because I watched the Grudge movie? So, we should have that lady be in the Grudge. Let's get that lady. So, John Cho's good. Just want to reiterate that. I'm going to say it every 3 minutes. John Cho's good. Everything else is bad. The storytelling, there's not enough time spent on any of the characters, so we don't care about them when they die or when they disappear. Who cares? And the whole... Oof. And then the film likes to play with time a lot and then have it converge near the end. And they do that when almost all of the Grudge movies that I've seen, the 4 that I've seen. In this one, they do the same thing. And that sequence is actually pretty good. There's some fun moments. It reminded me a lot of the last episode of Haunting of Hill House, which is a pretty good show by Mike Flanagan, who's known for that and Hush and Dr. Sleep from last year. So that was really good. And then the very end of the movie literally ruins it. It's an awful ending. It's so predictable if you've seen any horror movie ever that people don't like. And it's just such a cop-out. I hate cop-out endings. Unless, I guess I liked a few, but it was just so bizarrely done. It was like, oh, what? That happened? I'm so surprised. And I think the biggest problem with this film is that the whole movie is just kind of like that. Just, oh no, I'm surprised. And all the characters are very dumb. They make terrible decisions, which isn't a, bad thing in a horror movie. People do make bad decisions in real life. Having realistic characters is fine. But when all of your characters make the same type of decision, that's not realism. That's writing one character and then having different actors play them, which is a no-go unless it's secretly they're all in the same person's mind. That one movie with John Cusack. I don't remember it. Here's a picture of it. I hated that ending so much. I did not like the movie, but that ending definitely brought it down a little more. One final thing that I'll say about something that I did like. I thought that the practical effects, for the most part, were pretty good. There's a lot of fun, kind of body horror occasionally. Near the end, there's a scene with Lin Shaye around. You'll know what I'm talking about. That looks dumb as hell. That was terrible. But besides that scene, I enjoyed pretty much all of the practical effects, I would say. There's some bad CG occasionally, but not too often. And that's pretty much the movie. It's boring. It's aggressively boring, unless John Cho's around. And it's aggressively badly paced. The pacing's all over the place. It's just, the movie's a mess. The movie's just a fucking mess. All just, a review. Just jumping all over the place, but not in any coherent sense, and it doesn't, come to anything. This review was made like this to provide an example of how not to make a review or a film. This was intentional. This isn't just me rambling. I'm actually a genius for making such aggressively good decisions with my life. Anyway, if you want to watch any of the Ju-on films or Grudge films, the first and the second Ju-on the Grudge, they're okay. I think that some people will really enjoy it and some people won't. But those are the ones that will most likely hit your soft spot. And there's some, like I said, Ju-on the Grudge 2 has some really fun scenes. Also, Ju-on the Grudge 1 has a cat. Is the cat in this one? The cat's not in this one. That's why I don't like it. There's no cat. There's a dog who's okay. I forgot. There's a scene where the ghost, the Grudge ghost, they lick somebody's leg, and I was very confused. It reminded me of that one story where it's oh, my dog was licking my leg all night, and then I found my dog dead in the bathtub and with blood written, and it said, not only dogs can lick. And I'm just what the fuck does that mean? People told me that story all the time growing up. Another tangent, not related to anything. It's genius because it's like the movie. I'm a god. Anyway, watch Ju-on Grudge 1 and 2. Maybe the other Ju-on films. I've heard good things about The Curse 1 and 2. Do not watch this movie. I do have to say that it is the greatest movie that's been released in 2020 that I've seen. But that's by default. Anyway, I do like this movie more than either of the previous two American remakes, but I really hated those, and I only kinda hated this one. So that's why I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 10. If you like the video, don't forget to comment, I like the video, like it, subscribe to the channel. Tell your grandmother. We always love getting grandmothers to subscribe. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you watch a wonderful movie. If you want a recommendation for a good horror movie that's like Japanese horror, may I recommend the classic 1977 film, Houseu. That movie's bonkers. Anyway, have a good night.